Amen. Hallelujah. What a great anthem for all of Christianity.
Definitely.
Folks, I want to ask you just now to bow your heads and close your eyes with me as I pray. Dear Father, we just thank you so much again for this evening. We thank you for even last night and the powerful message that came through, that it took a baby to save so many.
Amen.
And Father, just right now, we pray and ask that you would come now and open our minds and open our hearts again to a powerful message from Dr. Nelson. Father, we just pray that you be here with us now. And we ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Will you please join me in welcoming back a man who has given up his time and energy to allow God to use him, Dr. Dwight Nelson.
Thank you, Shasta and Bernie. Good evening, everyone. How you feeling? Did you have a good Sunday? Oh, my. I tell you what, those of you in the downlink sites around the world, I don't know how you describe the kind of weather we've enjoyed here. Absolutely cloudless. I went running my 2.5 miles this morning, and in centigrade, I believe the temperature would be, what was it, about 6 degrees centigrade? It is a great time to be alive. What do you say? Absolutely. Considering the alternatives, especially. Tonight's lecture, I want to just plunge right into this with you. In a large urban hospital, right outside the maternity ward, somebody came along and affixed a sign. Research shows that the first 5 minutes of life can be risky. That's a good sign to put outside a little ward for newborns. Research shows that the first 5 minutes of life can be risky. A few days later, someone came along and scribbled under it, "The last 5 minutes ain't so hot either." Ladies and gentlemen, here in the next Millennium Seminar, the fact of the matter is you and I are crammed somewhere between the first 5 minutes of life and the last 5 minutes of life. But if the truth were known tonight, and I believe it is, evidence will show that, in fact, we are living much nearer the last 5 minutes of life in this civilization than anybody first thought. Tonight, our lecture, Sir Arnold J. Toynbee. Ever heard of Toynbee? Now, some of you are going to say, whoa, 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 is this back into high school history? Is this college history? Toynbee, Toynbee. Some of you are drawing a complete blank. That's okay. Before the night is over, we, in fact, are all going to remember Sir Arnold Joseph Toynbee, because he has given to us 6 evidences of a disintegrating, imploding civilization. More about Toynbee in just a moment. First, let's get back, because that lone angel, remember the apocalyptic angel in our opening lecture, that single message has something very significant to do with Toynbee. Pull your next Millennium Seminar Bible out here in this host site at Andrews University, and all of you who are in our other venues, 7,600 of you, venues that is, we'll be putting the text up on the screen. But we're going to go to the Apocalypse, the Bible's last book, Revelation. We've already been there once in our opening lecture. Let's go back tonight. Revelation chapter 14. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt to go back to some of these key lines again. Revelation chapter 14, verses 6 and 7. You see it there in your Bible. It's right in front of you. Pull your Bible out. Follow along. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth. That would be you and me, I suppose. To every nation, tribe, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, remember in the Greek, saying with a megaphone, with a loud megaphone shout. What's the message? Verse 7, fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him that made heaven and earth, the sea, and the springs of water. A final global message that goes to a titanic generation, an urgent message. Fear God and give glory to him. Why do we know it's urgent? I remind you, the very next scene in this chapter, just turn the page in our seminar Bible, verse 14. Remember that? Let's read it again, verse 14. Then I looked, And behold, a white cloud, and on the cloud sat one like the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice, there's a megaphone again, to him who sat on the cloud, thrust in your sickle and reap, for the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. So he who sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. My friends, in this very church, high atop the stained glass windows, right there, the rose window, we have a picture that actually captures the apocalyptic symbolism right here. It's a picture that you see on the screen in front of you. It is this moment. So the world is about to end, and there is this urgent message in verses 6 and 7 that we have read. So what does that have to do with Arnold J. Toynbee? A whole lot, more than we first thought. Sir Arnold Joseph Toynbee, Oxford educated, great English historian, taught at the University of London, put together that magisterial study of his 12 volumes long, in which he carefully examines 21 world civilizations, dissecting them, analyzing them, discovering what led to these civilizations' fall. Well, you were talking about Babylon and Rome, the Aztecs, the Imperial Chinese civilization, the Japanese civilization, etc., etc., etc. When he's through, and by the way, Volume 5, I went to the University Library here and got it. Volume 5, titled The Disintegration of Civilizations. When he's through, he has isolated six evidences that a civilization is about to collapse. So here's the question tonight. Could it be that this civilization is facing these six right now? Is the Titanic generation about to collide with imminent destruction? Is the final chapter of Star Wars about to be written? Now, you check it out for yourself. I want to run these six by you. You think, you reason with me. 6 evidences. Let's put them up. Let's look at them. Characteristic number 1, evidence number 1 of an imploding or collapsing civilization. Here it goes. According to Toynbee, societies in disintegration are seldom simply overrun by another invading civilization. Instead, they commit a kind of cultural suicide, what he calls a schism, a breakage, a fracture. Something goes wrong in the heart of that society. Something snaps, and they begin to collapse. Has it happened in history? Oh, come on. I have stood myself in the very ruins of the Roman Colosseum. Ever heard about the Colosseum in Rome? Of course you have. I tell you what, it's a haunted kind of a feeling to realize that in this broken down, crumbled piece of ruin, human beings would gather on Sunday afternoons, and in the name of entertainment, can you believe this? They would watch not Hollywood's plastic entrails and ketchup-like blood being poured out, but real living cadavers being ripped apart by... What kind of beast would do that kind of a thing? I'm trying to find an adjective for beast. A hungry beast, that's a good one. Hungry beasts ripping them apart. Gladiators, hand-to-hand combat. You know what, folks? Come on. Do you think that ended centuries ago with the Roman Empire? I'm embarrassed to do this with the world listening in tonight, to talk about American television right now. Come on. They call it real TV. The bloodier, the better. Isn't that right? And you know what? It used to be acted out, but we are now starting to see actual clippings of death happening in front of some errant camera somewhere. And the world says, more. Characteristic number 1, there is a cultural suicide, Toynbee says. Something breaks in the heart of a great civilization, and it begins to disintegrate. Okay, that's characteristic number 1. Characteristic number 2, for the brink. When a civilization is coming to the brink, Toynbee describes what he calls a truancy, which is just another word for escapism, a mental running away from the mounting problems of life. U.S. News and World Report, I read this story. In fact, the title of the story, Extreme, and they added a whole bunch of E's to it. And then there's the subtitle, The Peril, the Thrill, the Sheer Rebellion of It All. High-risk sports add spice to the humdrum of American lives. Have you heard of extreme sports? This generation is into it. $40 billion a year in America alone invested in sporting entertainment. You got to watch this, and I'm going to watch it too. Look at this stuff. Can you? Whoa! This is what you call extreme sports. Have you ever seen inline skating? Taking risks like this? Why would anybody jump out of a plane and do that? I can't imagine. I understand the president of this university tried it a few weeks ago. This is called jumping off a cliff. Can you believe that? What has gone wrong? ESPN now has what they call the X Games. They satellite it to 200 nations. We're going to over 100. They go to 200. They bring in the world's top 400 extremists, and they watch them compete. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Truancy, escapism. We have an insatiable thirst for a greater adrenaline high, and we can't get as high as we used to, so we're driven for more and more. And you know what? You want to talk about the billions of dollars spent on booze and drugs and frenzied partying? Come on. What's going on? Characteristic number 2. Oh, I tell you what, he's been dead for 50 years, but I have a feeling he'd stand up tonight and say, I rest my case. Characteristic 2 is in place. How about characteristic 3? What he describes here, Toynbee does, is a sense of drift in which people yield to meaningless determinism, i.e., they get the feeling finally that they have absolutely no control over their lives. I can't do a thing about what's happening in Washington. Let them go. You ever heard that before? We're no longer in control. This kind of mass fatalism. Gen Xers are known for letting you know that they don't care. Here's how Gen Xers do it. We got 3,000 of them right on this campus. They have 2 words that they say. Oh, well. Yeah. Oh, well. You're about to walk off that cliff. Oh, well. You're going to die. Oh, well. What is it? It is a mass fatalism that says, so there is nothing we can do anymore. A collapsing society is infected with this oh well kind of mentality. All right, characteristic number 4 of a disintegrating society, there is a sense of sin, a self-loathing, a guilt that society tries desperately to mask. You want to watch Saturday Night Live sometime? You want to listen to all that giddy laughter and ribald joking? What is it hiding? What is behind the mask of such silliness? Go to the heart of it all, and there is a numinous sense in Western world and Eastern world countries. Hey, ask the psychiatrist, talk to the psychologist anywhere in the world, and they will tell you that what human beings are struggling with today is a numinous sense of guilt. We all feel guilty, and we're not sure quite how to handle it. Follow the pathways of world religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Protestantism, Catholicism, Islam, the ritual cleansing, the shaking, the liturgical movements. It is a quest desperately to find some sort of internal cleansing that will make the mind and the life feel good again. Characteristic number 5. Wait a minute, Toynbee, are you saying all 4 are in place tonight? He says, I got 6. Here comes number 5. He describes it as a sense of promiscuity that infiltrates a dying society. Hey, wait a minute. A lot of you are thinking sexual promiscuity. He's not thinking sexual. He says, when I say promiscuity, I mean there is this kind of take it all in. Just suck it all in and embrace it. Don't have differentiation anymore. Don't say yes here and no. Just everything goes. You want to talk about the New Age movement today? Do you want to talk about a movement that is tapping the brightest minds on this planet today? People who are hungry for something that will give them meaning. And what does the New Age movement do? A little bit of the occult, a little bit of spiritualism, a little bit of paganism, a little bit of humanism, a little bit of theism, a little bit of philosophy. Stir it all up in that big old global cauldron, and then people sip. It is this promiscuity that says, doesn't matter. We'll take it all and suck it in. 5 characteristics. Toynbee, are all 5 in place tonight? Wonder what he'd say, but it's number 6 that concerns me. I am particularly concerned about characteristic number 6. He calls it, I'm reading here, disintegrating societies fall into a sense of abandon. A state of mind that accepts, here's an old English word, antinomianism. That means lawlessness. A state of mind that finally exchanges creativeness for lawlessness. I wonder if, in fact, the United States and the rest of the developed world tonight is not struggling with this state of absolute lawlessness, rank disregard of morality, rank disregard of rules, abandonment of the law. How else do you explain terrorism? When they go into the subways of Paris and Tokyo and the street corners of London and Belfast and Bosnia, what is terrorism if it is not rampant global lawlessness, isn't it? Want to talk about genocide? Rwanda, Cambodia, now it's Kosovo. What's going on? No sense of law, no sense of the value of human life. And then you put Hollywood. I am so embarrassed for America's great purveyor and producer of gory and orgy of blood and violence. And you know what? There are people that go and watch this for entertainment. And we send it to the world. You say, well, oh man, that's the world's problem. They're lawless out there. Wait a minute. What are the ways we wink and hoodwink the law ourselves? The petty little thefts of hotel towels. The slight little adjustments on the income tax form. White lies, black lies, any lies. When will we learn what other civilizations failed to learn before they collapsed? And that is, the little holes in the dike always precede the collapse. There they are, ladies and gentlemen, 6 of them. Sir Arnold J. Toynbee, 21 world civilization. Everyone fell with these 6. Are the 6 in place tonight? Are they? Makes you wonder. You don't have to be a historian or a rocket scientist to figure this one out. And what about that lone angel? What did that lone angel cry? Let's go back to the words of the lone angel. Revelation chapter 14, verses 6 and 7. You may not have your Bible open to it. Let's take a look at the words. Revelation 14, verses 6 and 7. Then I saw another angel flying in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach to those who dwell on the earth. And what does this angel say? It is a message to every nation, tribe, tongue, and people, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to Him, for the hour of His judgment has come, and worship Him that made heaven and earth and the sea and springs of water. Would it surprise you that this final appeal to a titanic generation has the antidote to save this civilization right now? Do you suppose indicator number 6, if we could turn that one around, we could actually reverse the first 5 and we could save this civilization from imminent destruction? I'm not being an optimist, but I kind of think maybe we could. Let me match that verse with a most significant twin in the Old Testament. We'll now open our Bibles again and go back into the Old Testament, a little book called Ecclesiastes, and I want to give you the page number, 647. A twin verse, a twin proclamation to match the lone angel in the apocalypse. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Last 2 verses of the whole book. This book written, by the way, by a wise king who plummeted. Good news for leadership. If you plummet into the morass of immorality, you can still be brought back up again. And it's at the end of his life now. He's coming out of that spin. He realizes what a terrible mistake he has made, and now he writes these concluding words. Verse 13, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is man's all. One translation puts it, this is the whole duty of man. This is the whole duty of woman. Fear God and keep His commandments. For, verse 14, God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. There they are. Same 2 words as the lone angel. Fear God. Only this time it reads, and keep His commandments. The angel says, fear God and give glory to Him. What does fear God mean? It means, remember we learned this in our first lecture, it doesn't mean to be panicked over God. It doesn't mean to tremble and run from God. He's offering us a forever friendship. That much we've made clear. But it means don't take Him so casually. Take him seriously. Don't just write him off. Fear God. And in this case, keep his commandments. There's an urgency to this appeal. If the 6 indicators are in place, then this one in particular may make all the sense in the world. Fear God and keep his commandments. I can't think of words more appropriately targeted to a titanic generation than this twin set we have just read in the Holy Scriptures. Fear God and keep his commandments. Okay, so what are the commandments then? Aha! They are incontestably the most famous commandments in the history of humanity, without question. The most succinct, the most significant code for human morality ever recorded in human literature. There are 10 of them. That's why they're called the 10 Commandments. You know what? Somebody has estimated that in the course of history, men and women have written 35 million laws. Tonight, 10 Commandments in a little over 300 words. And yet this single code has been emulated by more law than any other code in the history of the human race. The 10 Commandments. Come on, let's just take a look. Why not? Let's go to the 10 Commandment chapter of the Bible. That's the second book of the Bible, Exodus. Exodus chapter 20, page 70, here in our host site. Page 70. There they all are. You won't have to close your Bible now because we're going to read these and then go home. This is it. Arnold Toynbee says, breakdown of law is the collapse of civilization. Well, let's take a look at the law. Can it be restored? I think so. Why not? Exodus chapter 20, we begin in verse 3. The first commandment begins in verse 3. And we'll just go, all 10 of them. Number 1, verse 3, you shall have no other gods before me. You know what? The ancients all had their pantheon of gods. Do you realize that we in the modern world have our pantheons too? There was an ad that appeared in the classified section of a newspaper. And it was advertised, you know how they sell things in the newspaper. So the ad read this way: for sale, refrigerator, golf clubs, used sofa, 13-inch TV, and other household gods. Typographical error. You see, in English, if you leave an O out of the word goods, you can turn your goods into gods. We all have our own pantheons, don't we? Even in the West, household gods. And by the way, if our goods are not our gods, then we are tempted to worship something else. Listen to the great German thinker and writer Hans Küng. I'm going to quote him now. We all, and this is in his book, Why I Am Still a Christian, we all have a personal God, a supreme value by which we regulate everything, to which we orientate ourselves, for which, if need be, we sacrifice everything. And if this is not the true God, then it is some kind of idol, an old or new one, money, career, sex, or pleasure, none of them evil things in themselves, but enslaving for those for whom they become God. Opening commandment, you shall have no other gods before me. Oh, come on, is this an arbitrary law with a mean streak? Nope. Lovers and friends everywhere know that a relationship cannot ever possibly deepen if it has to play second fiddle to someone else. I'm married to the most beautiful girl in the world. I am never allowed to look elsewhere. Right? Come on. I don't want to look elsewhere. I knew I'd get an amen there. But it wasn't from Karen. That's the thing, see. She said, I'm listening now. Keep on. Go on. A little more. A little more. All right. So that's number 1. Let's go to number 2. Commandment number 2, you shall not make for yourself any carved image, any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a what? Jealous. Wow. There is a relational word for you. Is God a meanie to be jealous? Are you kidding? Why are lovers jealous? They are always jealous of a friendship they are trying to preserve. And anyone or anything that attempts to weaken that friendship is the immediate cause of an emotional response. Isn't this incredible? What a picture of God. God says, I get jealous too. I am offering you a forever friendship. I want to be first in your life, and anything or anyone who comes into your life and tries to be first, that hurts me. I am jealous. Wow. All right. Number 4. Boy, I hate to cough on global satellite, but what do you do? You really can't suppress those. All right, let's go to number 4. That's verse 8. Pardon me, folks. Verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you nor your son nor your daughter nor your male servant nor your female servant nor your cattle nor your stranger who is within your gates. For, verse 11, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them, and rested the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. You know what God is saying? He's saying, hey, wait a minute. I have a forever friendship. This friendship is so special to me, I want to set a day aside for you and me to share the friendship. No other distractions. Oh, I don't blame a friend for wanting to do that, do you? There's only one God in the universe, folks. Only one God. Not you, not me. Although, whoa, I read this in the newspaper. Look at this. This was datelined. The Associated Press carried it. Agana, Guam. Now, the reason Agana, Guam catches my eye is because as a teenager, I used to live on the green pearl of the Pacific. And I want to say hello to all our viewers right now on the island of Guam. They are watching right now, and we're glad you're here. So viewers, take note of this. The story caught my eye. Here's the headline story. No, here's the story itself. Forget the headline. Bruce A. Strong, 40 years old, unmarried, a computer programming instructor at Guam Community College, is waiting to find out if he can be God. Strong is officially making requests that his name legally be changed to God. No last name, no middle name, simply God. When questioned by Superior Court Judge John P. Raker, Strong indicated his reason for the name change simply as, I so wish. He plans to use God as his name in all personal and professional aspects of his life. His boss, Guam Community College Deputy Provost Adolph Scambuleri, has endorsed Strong's application to be called God. Maybe it will be a blessing for us, the Deputy Provost said. This is a free country and he is guaranteed his rights by the Constitution. I do know his name will be taken in vain a lot around here. I hope he doesn't mind. Hey, wait a minute, did anybody ask God? Do you suppose God minds? There is only one God, and he says, I've given you a day to celebrate my forever friendship. Wow, what a God. There they are, ladies and gentlemen, the first 4. There are only 6 to go now. 4. You know what's so intriguing to note? Is that all 10 of these commandments, they all have to do with preserving relationships. The first 4, 1 through 4, deal with protecting and preserving our relationship with God. 5 through 10 have to do with protecting and preserving our relationships with each other, family, friends, and strangers. Listen to this. Every relationship that is important to a human being, in fact, has been included in these 10 commandments. You know what that tells me? God is very big on relationships. I mean, 10 perfect codes to protect the relationships that matter most to me. Oh, and by the way, before we hasten on, please note, it's always true. 1 through 4 precede 5 through 10. It's never the other way around. You've got to get your relationship there straight first before your relationship here can possibly be straight. That's why God put it in that order. It makes sense to me. Now let's take a look at the last 6. These all have to do with human relationships. Here we go. Let's go to number 5. Number 5, verse 12. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. God's love protects the human family. I'm going to mention some very painful words now. Divorce, latchkey kids, single moms, deadbeat dads. Those are the words of human pain. And I have a feeling if only number 5 could once again be reinstated in the consciousness of this world, the pain we've lived with could be eradicated. Number 6, verse 13, you shall not murder. God's law always protects human life. How safe could a society possibly be if we had to fear for our lives in the presence of every other human being? Oh, I wish that commandment number 6 might somehow be once again reinstated into the psyche of the human race. Number 7, verse 14, you shall not commit adultery. God's law protects the sacred and intimate relationship between a husband and a wife, and in doing so, protects society itself. You say, oh, he's just being a killjoy. Nope. I'm going to read you a piece from the New York Times op-ed page. The statistics you're about to hear are proof enough that God is not being a killjoy when he says, don't commit adultery. Here it is. I'm quoting now, and I'm sorry this is about America to the rest of the world watching right now. I apologize. I'm embarrassed for my nation, but this appeared in a very revered newspaper in our land, and so I'll read it. A country with one of the world's highest standards of living is not a country in which one expects to find a remarkable number of people afflicted with sexually transmitted diseases. But according to a study by the Alan Guttmacher Institute, get this, 56 million Americans are affected with them, sexually transmitted diseases, and at least 1 out of every 4 Americans can expect to be infected. Just count them right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Present company accepted, of course. I just wanted to visualize the number. 56 million, 1 out of every 4. Poverty, ignorance, and the attendant lack of medical care are partly responsible for the rising rates of sexually transmitted disease. So is the tragic trade of sex for drugs. But, and here's the stinger, America, but a major reason so many Americans are prey to STDs, as they are called, is that they are Americans. What's that mean? Listen on. Which is to say, they initiate sexual intercourse early, they marry late, and they divorce often. During the periods when they're not married, and sometimes when they are, many will have several sexual partners. Adult Americans average 7 over a lifetime. Although public health programs concentrate on adult males, women and teenagers are hardest hit. 2/3 of those who contract STDs are under 25. And 1/4 of them are teenagers. End quote. I don't suppose the numbers are any different anywhere else in the world. What is God being? Some kind of celestial killjoy, party pooper? Is that it? Or maybe God is saying, you know, every time you break the 7th commandment, and of course that's really a euphemism, you can't break the 7th commandment, it can only break you. But every time one of those statistics goes up, God's saying, what are you doing? I made you. You're beautiful. You don't need that sweet-talking honey in your ear trying to convince you that if you give yourself to him, you will at last have found the meaning of life's great blossoming truth. I made you so that I might preserve for you a relationship that will last forever and ever. Is God trying to ruin it for us? Or is he saying, in fact, I want to protect you with everything you are? Every relationship that matters to the human race. is included in these 10 codes. Fear God and give glory to Him and keep His commandments, Titanic generation. All right, let's go on there because there are what? 3 more? Number 8. Number 8, you shall not steal. Some people say, well, what yours is yours and what mine is mine. No, here's what they say. What yours is mine and what mine is my own. Doesn't make sense at all. Commandment number 8 protects the boundaries of the little we do possess in this life. Commandment number 9, what is that? Verse 16. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Nothing destabilizes relationships more than a lack of trust. America now is struggling with the meaning of that politically. We don't get into politics here, but it's so fresh in our minds as a nation, and the whole world is watching. We might as well be reminded that a part of the 10 is tell the truth. Tell the truth. It may be painful, but tell the truth. And number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. You shall not covet your neighbor's male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Thou shalt not covet. Long before any of the previous 9 could be broken, number 10 comes along and says, watch your heart. Watch it happening first here, because it always starts here before you move to break any of the other 9. Once upon a time, there was a king who was very unhappy. He said, oh man, I am not happy, I am not happy, I am not happy. And his trusted counselor came to him and he said, oh king, if only you could but wear the shoes of a happy man, you would be truly happy, O king. And the king said, all right, couriers, go out, find them for me. Find the shoes of a happy man that I might wear them at last. And so they scoured the kingdom, and at last they found a happy man. And they said, sir, we have found you. We need your shoes. But alas, they discovered the man had no shoes. Be content with what you have. Don't covet your neighbor's stuff. You don't need his shoes. You don't need her dress. You don't need his portfolio. You don't need her career. All you need is a forever friendship that lets you be secure within yourself and with the God of this universe. Don't covet. There they are, 10 of them. The one moral code on earth that could halt the breakdown and reverse, I believe tonight, the collapse of human civilization. It is for want of this law that our civilization is dying tonight. And by the way, I'm not the only one who believes that. I just bought this book last Sunday. She is the most listened to female radio talk show host in America. Have you heard of Dr. Laura? She just came out with this book 3 weeks ago. I bought it last Sunday. What's the title of the book? The 10 Commandments. Because she also shares the conviction that, in fact, if only that code could be reactivated within human society, our marriages could be saved, our families could be preserved, our homes could be kept intact, our neighborhoods could be protected, our nations would be at peace, our world would be quiet and calm tonight, if only we could believe that, in fact, the lawgiver has been right from the very beginning. I know what's going through your brain, because it goes through mine once in a while too. You know, the problem with law, I just don't like this talk. I don't like the idea of having to obey anybody on command. I mean, come on, we are independent. We are, you know, we are free. And it grates against all of us to think that, well, there is something there that I have to now promise to do. You know what? We need a paradigm shift about law. We need a paradigm shift about obedience. What would happen if we were living in a war zone tonight? And we are. And what would happen if, to get to our destination, we had to cross a long field, call it this life? And what would happen if in the field the enemy had slipped in, knowing the journey ahead, and he had come in and he had secretly planted beneath the surface landmines of death and destruction all the way across this field? And yet for us to go through this, to get to our destination, we have to cross this field. Do you know what? Would you have the guts to walk across that field? I wouldn't. I was in Israel this summer, and they have fenced off an area between Israel and Syria where they have left the landmines in because they forgot where they put them, and they don't want to go back after them, and so it's just barbed wired off. Would you walk across that field? Would you? Not on your life. But what would happen if? What would happen if somebody came along and said to you, hey, I know all about that field. I know where every single one of those landmines is. Tell you what, I'm going to go ahead of you. I'll walk and you walk in my footsteps. And I promise I will take you through that field without a single landmine blowing in your face. What would you do to that person? Would you say, oh, come on, man. I want to be free. I am independent. No, sir, thank you. I'm going off on my own. And you step out and boom, adios, auf Wiedersehen. There you go. Sayonara. No, I tell you what, if a man like that came along and said to me, Dwight, you know what, if you walk in my footsteps, I'll get you through that field without touching one landmine. Do you know what I'd say to him? Sir, I would not like to walk in your footsteps. May I ride on your back? Wouldn't you? But of course, if somebody knows where there are landmines and that somebody has the grace and the love to come and tell you they're there, there, I'm going to listen to that somebody. You bet. The great book, I love this book, Experiencing God, written by Henry T. Blackaby. I want to read a line from that book. This is dynamite. God loves you deeply and profoundly. Because he loves you, he has given you guidelines for living, lest you miss the full dimensions of the love relationship. Life has also laid some landmines that can destroy you or wreck your life. God does not want to see you miss out on his best, and he does not want to see your life wrecked, end quote. Because at the heart of his law for us is the heart of his love for us. If only our civilization tonight could know that truth and discover the gift of his love and the gift of his law, what a very different world we would be living in tonight, in every nation, every culture, every land on this planet. In closing, I'd like to introduce you tonight to a friend of mine. He happens to be the chief of police in Berrien Springs, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, give a warm welcome, please, to Chief James Kesterke. Welcome, Chief. Chief, I want you to take a good look at some of these faces because I believe there are some traffic violators who are here tonight. Now, I want to tell you something. Chief Kesterke, he is an awesome man. As we say around here, you the man, you the main man. He is the chief, he is the chief lawgiver in this community. Chief law enforcer. I tell you what, I have great admiration, and I'm speaking truthfully, great admiration for this man right here. He drives an unmarked car, and I am always watching for that unmarked car because I want to wave when he goes by, see. Chief Kesterke, I have known him for years now as we have both served this little rural village together. And I've grown to respect and admire him. But one night, the whole paradigm shifted for me, and I want to tell you the story while he's standing right here. You see, I got a frantic phone call from one of my parishioners. She was desperate. Her husband was threatening bodily harm to himself. She said, I've already called the police, but Dwight, you got to get over here. So I grab a coat, throw it on over my shirt, and I race out late Friday night to this home. I see the police are already here. So I come tiptoeing up the front stairs, open the door, go in, go up the stairs. The police, it is the chief of police himself who has come, not a deputy. And so I stand in the shadows and say, listen, I'm not going to interrupt. He obviously got the call very quickly himself, flannel shirt and jeans. And he's in the kitchen quietly talking to the distraught individual. You know what? I stood there and watched. No swaggering bravado, no badge, no guns, no handcuffs, no nothing but jeans and a flannel shirt and a gentle voice appealing to the man focused before him. I just sat there and listened. There was nothing for the pastor to do. The chief of police was in control. And the more he talked, the quieter and calmer became the situation, until finally, when it was all over, Chief Kesterke shook the gentleman's hand and quietly left. When I went home later that night, it suddenly hit me. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What made the difference about Chief Kesterke? I have seen him in his attire over and over again, but I just saw a truth. I saw the great law enforcer, the lawgiver for Berrien Springs, suddenly reveal that in his heart, what mattered most to him was a relationship. And when I saw that a relationship matters most to him, I had a whole new paradigm and portrait of this great man. And then it hit me. Wait a minute. There is another lawgiver in this universe. There is another enforcer who wanted to come down to earth, and because relationship mattered so much to him, he took off his badge, he left off the weapons, no force, no book to throw at us. He comes down in a flannel shirt and jeans. And then he lets them strip him of the shirt and the jeans, until finally it's only his skin. And as they hoist him on that Roman tree in only his skin, he cries out to his Father, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." And when we heard him make that plea, we knew the truth about the lawgiver. The truth was that what matters most to him in all the universe is a relationship. And that at the heart of his law for us is the heart of his love for us. Now, why would anybody not want to be friends with a lawgiver like him? Thank you, Chief, very much. God bless you. With a love like that, who would not want to be friends with the lawgiver? Let us pray together. Dear God, oh, how we all need your love. It's what we need more than anything else in this life. We have tried everything. We have been extreme in our search, but still in emptiness. Again tonight we are reminded that it must be that forever friendship you have to offer that is our deepest need. And oh God, may we see that in the heart of your law for us is the heart of your love for us. What a friend. What a God. Thank you for being you through Jesus Christ. Amen. My lecture next time, it'll be Tuesday night here in the Western Hemisphere. It will be Wednesday to the east of us around the world. But the title of my lecture, Finding Personal Peace in Today's Stressful World. Now, I need to tell you that they got a hold of my original title, and it was this. I kind of liked it. The Birthmark and the Last Transfusion. They said, Dwight, nobody knows about a birthmark and last transfusion. Let's put it to what it really is. Bottom line, a finding of peace. And so, thank you. And so, Tuesday night, we want to take a look. Yep, there's a story about a birthmark. Yes, there is a story about the last transfusion, but at the heart of what we share together Tuesday evening, the incredible secret in the midst of this insanity for preserving peace. Absolutely, please, indeed, bring a friend of yours, bring a colleague, somebody from the office, somebody from across the street. Be here Tuesday night. Don't forget as you leave tonight to please turn in the little card that reminds you, as they remind me, that you need to pick up your study guide as you leave. Turn in this card, every downlink site right now. We are delighted you're here. God bless you. Go in peace. I'll see you Tuesday evening.